The customer is always right, even when they're wrong. Our tagline is nobody wows clients like we do, and we lived by that.
Welcome to Cracking the Code, where we make HVAC success clear, simple, and stress-free. I'm your host and Contractor University General Manager, David Holt. This episode is the latest of a 16-part series that introduces you to the awesome speakers you'll see at Epic 2026. If you don't want to miss next week's episode, please subscribe and turn on your notifications. And here's a quick reminder, your voice really matters. So please visit mycontractoruniversity.com to participate in our annual contractor survey for HVAC business leaders. You may even win a prize package that includes a 2-night stay at Bellagio and an all-access pass to Epic 2026. In today's episode, we're honored to speak with Mary Jean Anderson, the recently retired president of San Diego-based Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air, a 47-year-old business with over 300 employees and $60 million in annual revenue. Those amazing numbers place Anderson as the #1 woman-owned plumbing, heating, and air business in the United States. Wow. Mary Jean, who is also known as MJ to her friends, is presenting a breakout session during our Epic 2026 conference entitled Leverage a Wow Customer Service Experience to Unlock Growth and Increase Profits. In her session, she'll be sharing ways that her team lives up to their motto of nobody wows clients like we do. So let's get cracking. So welcome to Cracking the Code, MJ.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm super excited about February in Las Vegas. It's going to be a great meeting for us all. You know,
it's always a great event. It's one of the greatest parties in the HVAC industry each year, and having you on the agenda is just a real blessing. So we're super excited to hear about what you have to say. So, you know, you've got a lot of little things that you've done over your years at Anderson. I know you were very invested in the company over the years and have really grown this thing. So there's a bunch of different ideas that you throw around out there that have helped lead to your success. I mean, are you kidding me? 300 plus employees, $60 million in sales in little bitty San Diego. I mean, that's pretty good. So, and actually I love San Diego, by the way. My dad was a Navy guy, so we've been in and out of there once or twice. One of the things that you mentioned has to do with really understanding the value of just a really awesome customer service experience. Tell us more about that.
Well, first of all, I'll say customer service is really a part of marketing. And you have to have, especially in these days, incredible customer service to really reduce your marketing costs, which are so expensive, right? And for us personally, when we wrote our mission statement, we understood that up front. And we, in our mission statement, it said, the customer is always right, even when they're wrong. And even though that's not necessarily the way that we handled our technicians, it's what we truly believe and how we handle customer service. So, you know, it's all of that. Our tagline is nobody wows clients like we do. And we lived by that. And it reduced our marketing, expenses drastically. And then, of course, hit the bottom line and profitability.
So thinking about that, I mean, how does a company's customer service experience really impact their financial results? I mean, you hit it kind of high level right there, but what kind of numbers did you see in reduction of cost for marketing and increase in sales?
Well, you have to remember that to get a client right now is really expensive. And when we do Epic, I will have the very specific numbers of today's numbers. I'm retired now, but it used to be about, I'm going to say $237 to get that customer to call you. And so by the superior customer service from the time the client, gets to the call center, the service they get there, and then all the way down the line involves a higher closing percentage and a retained customer, therefore reducing that customer's the customer cost. So in our company, we had a 98.8 retention rate of happy customers. Now think about that. We went to 100 customers' homes and 98.8 of them wanted to use us again. So what does that do? Take that 200 or whatever it is today, because costs are insane, right? Marketing costs. So you take that to the bottom line, and then obviously the client when they're your existing customer, and I'll have the exact stats at Epic, but it's the closing percentage is something like 95% versus an average closing percent, depending on the ticket. HVAC can be 40 to 50 for a sale of equipment, and maybe for a service call, 80 something percent. And again, I'll have those numbers for you. But you think about the cost savings right there by retaining your customers. So right off the bat, you've got profitability to the bottom line, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can resonate to that. When I was running my dad's heating and air business here in Georgia, we focused 100% on delivering what we called the ultimate service experience, right? Same kind of concept. And we sold ultimate indoor comfort systems. So we didn't even sell heating and air. We sold ultimate indoor comfort systems. So we were private labeling, if you will. We were branding the same way that people are talking about doing today, as if it's a new idea. But we were doing it in the 90s. And smart companies have been doing it before us and long after us for sure. But our closing rate in dealing with existing customers, maintenance agreement customers primarily, was 82%. And I thought we were doing good, but it sounds like you're doing a whole lot better. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, our brand was built on wowing the client. And once you wow that client and you lock them in as yours, and then of course having the raving client, the client that loves you and spreads that word, it really is, your way to double-digit profitability. Got to clean up other things in business, but it's really one of the most important parts if you think about it. That's why I was excited that I got to speak on customer service, because that was the foundation of our company.
And it really has to be, right? Because with all the new technology and everything else that's going on, I just got off a call just a little while ago with a contractor out in Washington, and he's complaining about cost of generating leads. And he was complaining about, SEO this and SEO that and all this crap. I said, you know what? Here's the reality. The reality is this is a people-to-people business. And if you treat people right, they'll treat you right, right? You teach them that you demonstrate to them that you as a professional organization are going to just do a tremendous job of taking care of them, and they'll return the favor by recommending you to their friends, family, and neighbors. I mean, and it's a beautiful thing, because as a sales guy, I'd much rather go on a referral call than a SEO lead call that somebody's just trying to, get a price.
Absolutely. And so important, because that raving, the client, whether it's a man or woman, the client really wants to feel loved, so to speak, cared about. And who better to build that before you ever walk into the door is a friend or a review or something like that says, gosh, Anderson came out and I loved them. They were so honest. They're so ethical. There's your sale. There's your sale. So that's why I always say, I'm a marketer by trade. So I love marketing. That's my thing. Guess what the number one, except I got a thing going on here. Guess what the number one marketing tool is? It's client service. It really is. And you've got to think about it that way.
And I'm real sensitive to words, and I want everybody else to pay really close attention to something that MJ has been saying over and over and over again. She doesn't call them customers. That's intentional, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, there are clients.
Yeah. And so what's the difference between a customer and a client?
I feel like a customer is someone that walks into 7-Eleven, and I feel like a client is somebody you retain that you continue to give service to over and over again. That would be my definition.
Lots of companies, and this is sad, they treat service almost as a necessary evil and a cost of doing business, but you turned it into a profit center. How do you recommend that contractors make that same shift?
It goes to something I've always said that I think is important is to hire your weakness. And to be successful in business in general, I think you have to really know who you are and what your attributes are, and realize that you don't have you don't have it all. None of us do. None of us have it all. And when you realize what your weaknesses are, you're able to hire that person. So let's say customer service. It's really the most important part of retaining a customer and profitability. We've already discussed that. We get that, but it's more about, are you the person that can do that? Because and get that message out there and get people to do that. You might not be. So think about this. There's a lot of very successful CPAs who are in our industry, and they're numbers people, which is fabulous. But they might not be people. And our very first customers are our call center, the people that answer the phones, and our technicians, right? They're our very first customer. They're our most important customer because they have to be so happy and proud of who they are and love what they're doing and love our clients. And they're the ones that go out on the second level and turn our customers into clients. Make sense? You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So we have internal customers and we have external customers. And if we don't have our internal folks, if we don't have our teammates on board with the mission, it doesn't work. I had firsthand experience there too. I wound up, when I went to work for my dad, we had a bunch of people that were less than committed to delivering the safest, healthiest, most comfortable and energy efficient systems possible. They were just trying to make 8, right? Just make 8 hours and get on about their day. They didn't really have the same attitude that we had as an organization. And so we had to trim some fat and get the right people in. So hiring the right people is the first part, right? For sure.
Yeah. And also training the people. I mean, there's some people that can't change, but when they came into our company and they read our mission statement, they right away understand that we're really proud of who we are. And this is what we do. We do outstanding customer service. This is the number one goal. A lot of times we would hire people who had that in their hearts, and then we would train them to do a job that they, had plumbing in the air, things that they really hadn't even had any idea how to do. We put them through our school because we realized that we really wanted people that cared. And I want to go back to make sure people that are listening to this understand that you may not be that person. I want to really emphasize how important that is, but you need to hire your weakness. So if you're more of a numbers guy and you're more of an operations guy, and it's hard for you to deal with your technicians in your call center and motivate them and constantly instill in them how the customer's always right even when they're wrong and how they are the most important person in our entire company, then you have to hire that person, because you've got to have that person there. Because I just got to make that point that the marketing of your company, the number one marketing tool, is over-the-top customer service.
That's right. That's right. And that has to be delivered not by technology. That's delivered by real live human beings.
Exactly. And that's what people want. And that's what people need.
Well, that's what they deserve too. That's the way we always talk about it is, what does your homeowner deserve? Well, they deserve the very best in us that we can deliver to them at a price that's affordable to them and provides appropriate profit. So I can pay you and the rest of the team appropriately, right? So, and I love the idea of hiring your weaknesses. And of course, most of us knucklehead contractors, which you stand out like a beautiful sore thumb, maybe a rose, sorry, because you're in a primarily dominated male industry, and your compassion comes across even on the camera here for what it is that you love, which I know you love your fellow man, and you're trying to help them be better tomorrow than they are today. And you're trying to help your people be able to deliver that on a consistent basis. But a lot of us knuckleheads, we want to do everything ourselves. How is that turn into like a really dangerous trap? And how do you know when it's time to kind of set your pride aside is really what it comes down to, right? Set your pride aside and bring in that complementary talent.
Yeah. You're going to see it right in your P&L. In reality, you're going to see it. Are you not bringing in enough sales? Are you not collecting enough money? High accounts receivable. You're going to see it in your P&L. It's going to tell you right there. And or you'll see it in losing good technicians because they want to go elsewhere for whatever reason. Typically, it's because they're not happy, with the company and what the company's providing to them, which is, again, love, respect, and training. That's what our world is built on, no matter what anybody says. And the other thing you really have to think about, slightly off topic, but super important, is that over 78%, and I'm going to get the statistics to include, the updated statistics, but over 78% of the homeowners that are making the decision are women. And us women, that's what we want. We want to trust, and we want respect, and we want to be wowed. And that's what makes the woman decide what they're going to do, what direction they're going to go. So, yeah.
And I love the fact that you said, you look at your P&L statement, look at your profit and loss statement and see what's going on. Look around you and look at your retention rate on your employees and see what's going on. Again, why is it that every time we hire a service tech, we lose a service tech? Why is it that 2 or 3 of them disappear at the same time? Why are these things happening? And I figured out what you've already said here. I figured out that we weren't doing what we needed to do to train them. We definitely weren't doing what we needed to do to love them. And we definitely were not respecting them. I mean, we just weren't, as a business.
You weren't servicing your client. And who is your client? Your technician is, and your call center. I mean, it's so important. And that's why I say, I've been really successful with women managers. And you just said something. You said that when you came in from the software industry, you really didn't know, the trades, right? Well, that's okay, because you can be a great manager, a manager of people, and not understand the trades, right? So I think that's super important, and I think that our industry has to start looking at women in all areas. When you send a woman out to the house, and I learned this from my daughter, she was the first woman in the field many years ago, 20-something years ago. She said, Mom, when I go out and it's a woman, I identify. She had the highest closing percentage of the company and still holds that record, by the way, 20 some odd years later. And she said, when I go out and it's a woman, I just identify them and I know I've got the sale. And she said, and when it's a man, they seem to let their guard down. Like they don't have to know everything. They don't have to understand things. And they just let their guard down and they let me explain. And it's another really easy sale. I said, well, who do you think you sell best to? This is our discussions. And she said, men. I can sell to both, but men are an easier sale than women. Now think about that for just a second. This has changed. You see it obviously in the automotive industry. You now see it in our industry. And you'll see that if you saw our stats, you would see that our women salespeople had higher closing percentages in general than the men did. There was exception to that rule. Now, why is that? Just what I said. It's that connection that we have to train on. It's the customer service we provide. And the customer service is the connection of quality, safety, honesty, ethics with your client when you're in front of your client.
So I've had really good experience hiring women in sales and purchasing from women as well. And so many contractors miss the mark when they're communicating with women in the home. What mistakes do you see most often, and how should we as dumb men change the conversation? What should we do differently?
I think I go back to the book. I can't remember. Women are from Venus and Men are from Mars. Is that the way? Yeah. And I think it's all about understanding the language that people need and then training on that, And I'm not going to say it's like, I don't want to say it's you've got to go out and just women are much better than men. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm going back to what I said from the very start is hire your weakness. And so, when that person's out in the field, those are the communication skills they need. And it can be a man or a woman, but you've got to look. I started doing psychological profiles in the 90s before anybody ever knew what they were when I hired someone, because I really understood that that people had to be on the right seat on the bus. And if I said, what is one of the most other important things you could offer me listening today, I would say it's so important to have the right person on the right seat on the bus. So you have to hire for what that job needs. Perfect example. I was not good at negotiating. And I always said I'd have a man negotiate because they were going to be tough. And I hired this gal who was our accounting controller, who eventually moved up to CFO. She was so good at negotiation, so good at collection, so good at my weakness, that was another thing that really helped our company grow, because she was on the right seat on the bus, right? And it can be a man, it can be a woman, it can be men in the field. There's no doubt that men do a really good job. And, if you look at our industry as a whole, probably there are a lot more men, but some of the top salespeople are men. So I'm not saying that it's just getting that right person on that right seat on the bus. It's so important to do. And you can do that by there's so many different programs that are out there now these days where you can. I like Color Code is one I use. I mean, there's several that I used to use, but sometimes I'd run 2 tests on someone when I was really considering them for a position, because I really understood that it was so important to get that right person,
Yeah, I do. And it's extremely important to fully understand, because you got to understand, like you mentioned a minute ago, you got to be able to speak their language and understand what they're saying too, and get that. So you mentioned an individual that you hired that kind of unlocked some hidden gold, really, is what it comes down to. And would you consider that like the biggest leap forward type of hire? And how can contractors actually identify their kind of missing piece and then recruit for that to fill that gap?
I would say, it's such and I can't wait to do this class at Epic, because it's so deep. There's just so much. I'd probably say marketing is what is most essential to grow a successful business, most successful. Let me give you one more example. I was struggling and it was affecting the bottom line. I couldn't get to double digits on sales. And it costs, I think it's over 400. It might even be 500. I'm going to check that out now. But to get a lead for a new client in HVAC sales, right? Unless you're marvelous at doing flips, which we've got good at. But we didn't have the right training, and our people just weren't closing. So what do? You hire your weakness. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't have any in our company that could figure it out. So I did the research. It's kind of how I connected with EGIA originally, and I found Weldon Long. So I was big enough at that point that I could bring him in as a trainer. So he came in once a month and did ride-alongs, and I think he started twice a month and then once a month and then once every other month till we weaned off. But he started doing our training. The guy's a genius. He's freaking phenomenal. And so he just completely lit us on fire in that one area. Again, hire your weakness. That advice I was given early on, and we all are humans. We all have egos. We think we can do everything. We can't. We can't. You really want to grow and you want to increase that profitability. God, hire your weakness. And it might be a Weldon Long you need. It might be an accounting person. It might be a marketing, having an incredible market. Like, I'm going back and forth in my head as I'm talking to you. Is it marketing or is it training? What really is the most important part that brought us there? And again, I believe a huge part of marketing is customer service. So there you go.
MJ, that was fantastic. A lot of really good nuggets that you just provided us. And I personally am looking forward to seeing exactly what you have to deliver for us at the Epic Conference. It's going to be great to see you there and great to hear you. We're looking forward to having you. So any last thoughts before we cut loose?
I'm just super excited about being there too. And I'm looking forward to meeting the people that might be watching this video. My goal has always been to help people become the best that they can be. That's my excitement in life. And helping people become the best that they could be is what really launched our business to places I never thought it would be. So I'm excited about meeting you if you're listening. I'm excited about helping you become the best you can be and enjoying your life on a kind of an easier road, because you get there eventually.
For more about MJ's breakout session, visit the epic2026.com website and check out the agenda for Thursday at 11 a.m. If you haven't already registered for the conference, make sure you do so soon, as it will surely sell out as it has in years past. Click register now at epic2026.com so you don't miss out. Also, please do us a favor. Like and share this episode so we can help more HVAC contractors improve their business. Thanks for watching Cracking the Code, where we make HVAC success clear, simple, and stress-free. See you next time.